This morning, we are in Masaka town after spending an entire day yesterday following President Yoweri Museveni's campaign triumph. And this is the intriguing revelation from this campaign. One, in rural areas, President Yoweri Museveni has strong support. In urban areas, his support is limited. Why is there a difference between rural and urban areas of Uganda in terms of candidate preferences? Possibly that was demonstrated in two interviews. One in a rural area, the other in Masaka town. Most people in urban areas are against Museveni because of poor service delivery by the government in healthcare and in education. When you go to rural areas, actually people are angry. They think that the medical services are atrocious and they have not seen any agricultural extension services. How then do people who are so angry with the failure of government at the same time be enthusiastic about Museveni's support? And how does the president relate to them? This is what we saw yesterday. President Yoweri Museveni never campaigned on his achievements. On the contrary, and paradoxically, he campaigned on the platform of his failures. He came with a list of things that have failed to work: fertilizers, delivery of farm implements, even delivery of agricultural extension services in form of advice to farmers. But he was able to successfully deflect the responsibility for the failures of his government from himself as a candidate and as a president to the local chief administrative officer of that area who was responsible for handling these services. And it was very clear to us that the electorate were really convinced by him. For example, he shouted about he mentioned 5 failures of his government, and the population agreed with him. And then this is what he told them. He said, we sent 11 billion shillings as the budget for the district. Did you see any result? He said, no. We have sent 2 billion shillings to your district for agricultural extension services, and all of them said we have never seen it. And then he points to the chief administrative officer of the local area and he says, this is the man. Have you ever seen him? They said no. Has he organized circles? They said no. Put up your hands, those of you who have seen him. Nobody put up a hand. And then he was effectively able to demonstrate that the failure is not his. He played his part, and the failure is of the local administration. The second point, he asked them, how come you don't have roads and electricity here? Do you know why? And they said no. He said, because of your local area, because of your area member of parliament. And this is an opposition member of parliament. He said, so you voted wrongly. You should vote for a person from my party so that you can get these services. Even on that account, people agreed with him. Now, here is my analysis. One, I got the sense that people in rural areas, at least their notions of leadership are not based on the fact that the president or chief executive ultimately is the one to be held with the ultimate responsibility of delivering services. In fact, they think it is the local person. The chief executive of the state, who is Yoweri Museveni, and they told us afterwards in the interviews, had played his part in sending the money. The fact that somebody at the local level stole it, they did not consider that to be a failure on the part of the president. But in urban areas, people are very clear that when there are no services in hospitals, there are no good education systems, that is not because of the local auxiliaries of the state machinery, but ultimately the responsibility lies on the head of the president. So we can clearly see that the more people get urbanized, get exposed, they understand the rules of modern leadership, and therefore the opportunities for the president to play scapegoat others or his own state functionaries is diminished. But in rural areas, it has very strong appeal, because when we witness these people on the campaign rallies, they were cheering him, they were excited and emotionally overjoyed to see him, they were happy about him, and they identify themselves with him. And him skillfully is able to identify himself with the electorate. And he presented himself and them as one group of people, all victims of machinations and theft by state functionaries. And I felt that was the most important and unique aspect of this campaign. Possibly now in Kampala we can begin reflecting on what are the notions of leadership at the local level, and how do these notions of leadership at the local level feed into the campaign process.